First of all, we want to thank everybody for coming today. And even though it's been a long time coming, and it's been a terrible tragedy, 8 years, we hope today is going to finally be something positive out of this. And so for that, I'm going to turn it over to Nicole.
So for 8 years, me and my family have been on the receiving side of the community's generosity and kindness, and it's really, truly impacted our lives in ways that I never imagined. And so now it's time for us to pay that forward and give back and be able to help other children. You know, our whole focus and the whole mission is to help other children that have been impacted by gun violence. And I wish with my whole heart that we did not need this foundation and that there was no gun violence impacting children. But as we all know, every day we see it. And we want to do something to help. I remember as I was going through the last 8 years, the one thing that impacted me the most was Lexi feeling all alone and telling me, why do I have to be so different from my friends? You know, why did this have to happen to me? And I had no one to reach out to, no one to connect her with, to share her experience so that she knew that she was not alone. And that's part of the mission, is for other kids to know that they are not alone in this, and that there is financial help, there is counseling, education assistance, whatever they need. But most importantly, there's a community and a family that's here for them and that's going to help support them. So I'm super excited to launch the Oulson Family Foundation. I know it's new and in the early stages, but we're here to do great things and ready to see what we can do. Right? Yes, thank you.
So again, with that, we are announcing the Oulson Family Foundation. We are going to raise money for children that have been indirectly or directly affected by gun violence. Our definition of directly means that unfortunately the child was killed or hurt as a result of gun violence. And our definition of indirectly is that a parent or guardian has been hurt or killed as a result of gun violence. There will, obviously these things happen unfortunately daily and probably more than that. And so we will have some sort of caveats that will have to take place in order to qualify for assistance. But we are hoping to raise enough money to start teaming with local state attorneys' offices and maybe even district attorneys' offices in other states, so that through their victims assistance program, we can help give them things that they otherwise don't have, which is either money for medical bills if those exist, if not, if it's an indirect thing, mental health counseling for the child or even the parent if it becomes necessary, but our focus is definitely on the children. And then if neither one of those apply, our goal is potentially to set up some sort of educational foundation for their future tuition issues. We know that having a parent or guardian lost from gun violence isn't just an immediate thing, it's a long-lasting issue that could affect them in many, many ways. And so that's why we wanted to add that aspect of tuition reimbursement or tuition help if it becomes necessary. So with that, we are opening up to questions.
Are you starting by personally seeding this in any way, or how's that going to start?
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, are you guys personally seeding this first, or is this going to be fully publicly funded?
So we have an actual bank account that is open, and Nicole and I have been the first two donors. We have actually had some unsolicited donors as well, and so the process has already started. We don't unfortunately have enough to start helping people yet, even with the tragedy in Texas and the tragedy in Buffalo. We don't have enough money to start helping people yet, but the goal is to start a grassroots campaign to start raising some money, and then once we have enough kitty in the pot, we can start getting qualified individuals to see who we can start giving back as soon as possible. But yes, the long story short is we have begun the process of raising, but we're hoping for community support for to continue this growth.
I know this is early on, but do you have plans for some sort of events? I mean, how do you plan to raise the money?
So one of the things for sure, and I'm going to let her talk as well because she has some other ideas. We're going to do some, like I said, grassroots stuff to begin with. I plan to contact local media personnel and or friends in the community, host some just small happy hours and things like that to try to get the word out. I think that's the first thing. And then as the word continues to grow and hopefully as money naturally and organically comes in, we'll be able to extend that to, my goal one day is to have those gala events where we have a dinner. and truthfully, I just hit this the other night, is a father-son or a mother-daughter or father-daughter dance type thing, I think is a great thing, especially considering this is revolving around children. And I know that that could bring some heartache and some sorrow because some of these kids may not have that guardian with them, but I think still the idea of the family, I think, is important to keep in mind during the entire process of trying to raise some money. But with that, I'll also let Nicole answer.
Yeah, so we're working on the social media aspect of things as well, getting the Facebook account, which is set up, and the Twitter and the Instagram, and just starting small and working our way up, right? You've got to start somewhere, so that's what we'll do.
Our hope is that I think everyone can relate to this, not only this issue, but this foundation. It's terrible to believe that we are in this stage of humanity, in my opinion, that people can relate to movie theater shootings. It's scary, and it's terrible, and it needs to be changed. Unfortunately, we don't have the ability to change those things, but we can help the people that are negatively affected. So it is my belief that once people start hearing about this, people will naturally want to help, simply because everyone can relate to a child that is either directly or indirectly affected by gun violence and what they're going to have to deal with growing up and moving forward. I will tell you, the outreach, even since the verdict, has been incredible. We have been contacted by people in other countries. I have received emails almost daily about their support and their heartfelt concern over the family and the verdict itself and the position of our country and where we're headed. So I'm hoping that this can just dovetail onto that, and we can really grow this thing pretty quickly.
Nicole, can you talk about that a little bit? Last time most of us saw you, it was a very difficult day for you, clearly. But it seems like this is giving you an opportunity to channel and focus. And can you talk about that?
It is, yes. So after an 8-year fight, right, the outcome of the trial was just like the punch that knocked me out, and it was just so unexpected, and just justice was not served. So this is just a way for us to come together and know that, you know what, we're all given circumstances in life, but we can't let that determine who we are and, prevent us from being what we should be. And so I want this to be a way to keep Chad's memory alive. I don't want him to be known or remembered, for how he died, but for his legacy, and that we can do good and make something good out of a bad situation. And so that's my whole goal.
On the legal side of things, is there any appeals or anything that were planned, or that's all done?
No, so the criminal side of things is obviously out of my control. That's between the state of Florida and the defendant, and no, that...
Thank you.
Good thing we can edit. Sorry, old buildings, thin walls. From the criminal side of things, I'll start over. It's between the state of Florida and the defendant, and my understanding is that there's nothing. That unfortunate turn of events, which is a not guilty verdict, has ended that situation. From the civil side of things, in my opinion, quite luckily, we have already settled the civil case, any and all civil claims that she may have. So there is no more legal out of this case at all at this point.
That's nice that you get to focus almost entirely on this.
Yes, we can put our 100% focus on this, and as opposed to trying to find ways to help just the Oulsons, we can now focus on ways to help all families.
Can you give us any other details on how that all came about, this the settling of the civil suit?
I can't.
Can you speak about the need in this community, or just in general, for a foundation focused on children in Lexi's position? Are there other foundations that do anything similar, or is this something that would be unique?
I've looked, and there very well could be, but nothing that I have come across, that focuses on children. There's a lot of, foundations or groups that focus on gun control or gun ownership, but that's not what we're all about. That's out of our scope, and our mission is strictly to help children. So I'm not aware of any, but if there are, maybe we could partner up or something at some point.
And if people want to help you, how can they donate? How can they get in touch with you?
I think the best way to do that is go to the website, which is OulsonFamilyFoundation.com, and that has it's all one word, OulsonFamilyFoundation.com. It has all of our contact information, our phone number, our email address. where to send a check if you want to send a check, and or a donate button to be able to do it either on a recurring basis or on a singular basis. And I want to add to her comment in that I also did some research, and I don't see any foundations that have our specific focus related to gun violence. And it's also very important for everyone to understand that as a foundation, we do not take a position on gun ownership. We are not against guns ownership. We are not for gun ownership. We are taking zero position on the issue of gun ownership. What we are focusing on is trying to help those people that have been needlessly or senselessly affected by the gun violence.
What's Lexi's reaction to your efforts been when she talks to you about that?
She's excited, yes. We're trying to bring her up to speed on what it all means and the big picture, because she's all about the website and things that she can see. But, I'm trying to explain to her and, get her the mindset that, it's all about others. This is not about us. And so she's excited, yes. Right? Yes.
Yes, and we do have the wristbands, and I know you can see it on the T-shirt as well. But we did make bands, and it does say Oulson Family Foundation on the inside. It's inscribed Chad Oulson, number 28. That was his racing number. So we wanted to keep his memory alive, and circular, obviously, being the circle of life. And so, unless there's other questions, I just want to say the following and end this way. These last 8 years have changed, I think, everyone that is associated with this case. I know that it's changed me dramatically. I know that it's changed Nicole and her family dramatically, as well as Chad's family that's not here with us today. But we are hoping, and truthfully, with what I think we're doing and what we have put together so far, I really think some very good can come out of this significantly tragic story. Any other questions? Thank you guys for coming.